Mingda D2. I'm kind of finalizing my review on this printer today. I took the fan shroud off of this machine because right out of the box I kind of looked at the fan setup they had there, and I knew there was going to be some issues. This is the original fan duct that came off this machine, and it wasn't adequate to do what it was supposed to do. Somebody had redesigned one which, directed the air much more precise to the nozzle. So this helped. Keep that in mind. This helped. This is the fan this printer came with. Typical 44010 blower. Wasn't really good enough. I mean, it wasn't making noise or anything, but it wasn't blowing air good enough. So I ended up buying some high-speed fans with dual ball bearings, high-speed 24 volt, and this probably got it as close to what we can get this to. This is the last benchy. I'm printing out a small benchy right now just to show you guys the operation of this machine, but that's what the end result was. Some of the first prints I was getting with this machine were seriously burning up filament. Overhangs were terrible. This was with the improved fan duct. Got a little better, still had some problems in the overhangs. The first printer test I had, you see the filament burned up. Surprisingly though, that the top text and everything is fine. There's no stringing on here. Some of the overhangs are sagging back there. Some of the bridging. This was probably the last printer test I did recently. Still got some overhang problems. Definitely needs some more work on the heating, cooling, nozzle duct, but they said they're working on that. Why do they ship a printer without working on it in the factory? I have no idea, but you can see there's still some burning on the end of the filament there. So now let's talk about the good things, okay? Have dual rails, very stable bed, direct drive extruder, which probably would be good for some high temp or the TPU filaments. I don't typically print with those, so there's nothing I could really talk about with that. These switches seem to work. Not the paddle type switches that some of the other manufacturers do use, but they do seem to work. I was a little bit nervous about those myself. You have a dual Z machine with a direct drive hot end. Quiet. This printer did have some bubbles under the bed. I talked to another person who bought one. He said he has bubbles, but they're off to the side and they won't affect his print. But somebody not familiar with printing, a first time user, might try to print on a bed with bubbles on it, and anybody who owns one of these knows what the problem is with that. I took a pen knife and poked the bubbles on this printer when I opened it up, so I resolved the problem myself with that. Bed heats up nice and quick. It's at 235 by 235. This surface actually does stick very well, which on some of my earlier prints you've seen me fighting to get the print off. There's a filament runout sensor, which I haven't tested, but should work. So I'm gonna probably tighten up this wiring a little bit, put the cover back on. I don't know how much more I'm gonna deal with this machine. I didn't get any promotional discount or anything. I bought the machine the way it was on Amazon, which I think it's still around $200 for that price point. And somebody that wants to screw around with this heating, or eventually I know somebody will, once they get enough of these in circulation, somebody will come up with a whole different cooling setup for this machine. They have a fan here also, which is actually blowing air out, exhausting air out. I don't really understand what they did here with this cooling, but it seems like it needs a lot of improvement. So, you know, somebody wants to get in on a $200 printer with the dual Z's and the direct drive and the filament runout sensor. This might be a good option for you. It is a quiet machine, full-size SD card. I haven't dealt with that. Color touchscreen, which works fine. This sales representative wanted me to give him a 5-star review on this printer, which I don't think I've had a 5-star printer. Probably the best printer I'm using right now is the Arion Thinker, which is getting good reviews from everybody, except, you know, they're a more expensive machine. They are. Then actually they're coming out with a small size 235, I believe, Thinker machine, which I'll probably get my hands on at some point. But that printer is around $300 also. So if you guys are adventurous and want to play around with these things, I don't have time to deal with all this going on, so probably this machine is going to stay sitting until someone can figure out a better solution on the cooling. And I'll leave it up to you guys. Let me know what you want to give for a review on this thing as far as stars. I'm shooting for maybe a 3.5. If I can't do that, maybe I'll pop a 4 on it. I don't know. You can see a little benchy tip is sticking up here. Definitely some cooling issues with this machine. The fan is spinning. I sliced this on Prusa and I made sure the fan was on 100% all the time. This is the high-speed fan that I put on here. Alright people, happy printing. 8-minute video. I'm sure you guys probably all dropped out by now, but I'm going to make a shorter video for Amazon. Take care. Happy printing.